What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, I've got the Bitcoin price chart pulled up in front of us. We're actually going to spend more of this time talking about the altcoin market and the things that we're seeing going on in the altcoin market, where we're seeing weakness emerge in some altcoins and then we're seeing strength emerge in other altcoins. This morning, I went back and kind of reviewed through history of what times used to be like, considering that Bitcoin has followed so well along with what ending capitulation phases have looked like. I thought to myself, what was going on in the cryptocurrency market back in here? And this would have actually been back here in 2015. So May of 2015, being about halfway through an accumulation schematic down here. And I decided to hang out over here on the way back machine, and I'm checking out coinmarketcap.com, heading over here to May, just picking a random date, reflecting back on what was in the top 10, what the prices of cryptos were at that time. Back then, Bitcoin was $242. You could get XRP for under 1 cent. Litecoin for $1.45, Dash for $2.74. You see Stellar, you see Dogecoin down there. And these were interesting times back then in 2015. At this time, you could essentially go in here, and if you said, hey, you know what? I want to get into the cryptocurrency market and I want to diversify my portfolio. I think I'm just going to check out what's at the top of the list and I'm going to buy the top 5. That strategy in 2015 would have netted you very well. If you put like 10 grand into the top 5 right there, you would have been a millionaire during the next bull run. You would have gotten like 7 Bitcoins. If you put 2 grand in each of these, you'd have gotten like 7 Bitcoins. Well, Bitcoin went to $20,000. For 2 grand, you would have gotten like 285,000 XRP. Well, XRP went above $3. So just that alone would have almost gotten you $1 million. Litecoin went to like $300. You would have had, over 1,000 Litecoin. And that strategy of just grabbing the top 5 and diversifying in the top 5 would have done awesome in 2015. In this phase right here, in May of 2015, which, history will tell us whether that's true or not if we are in this moment once we finally break from this range. But that's a strategy that would have worked. But what about 2018, right? Come over here to 2018. You look at this phase right here, February of 2019, right? You've already capitulated. It's February of 2019. What was in the top 5? What was in the top 10 then? We'll head over here to 2019, pick a random day in February, and there we go. Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, EOS, Bitcoin Cash. Those were your top 5. You have Tether here at number 5. Of course, that's a stable coin, but your top 5, Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, EOS, and Bitcoin Cash. Use the same strategy in 2018, 2019? Not so much, right? Yeah, Bitcoin sets a new all-time high. Ethereum sets a new all-time high, but XRP, EOS, and Bitcoin Cash do not. Then you can move even further down the list to check out what the rest of the others were in the top 10. You have Binance Coin, Bitcoin SV, Stellar, Tron, and Litecoin. These would not have provided multiples going on into new all-time highs. Of these top 10s, the only ones that really did were Binance Coin, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. Mind you, this is over a year after Bitcoin has topped. It's already gone all the way down. We've already gone through the whole fall of the bear market, and here we are in this time period, and these are still your top 10. People don't realize that EOS was a top contender. Same with Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin. That's just 3 years ago. But 2019's did not do what 2015's did, where if you just sprinkled through the top 5, boom, you made it. Sprinkle in the top 5 here. The only 2 that would have gotten anything for you would have been Bitcoin and Ethereum. As a change in the dynamic of the market. We could see what else was here in the top spots. After Bitcoin had already completed its fall, you see Stellar in there, Cardano, Monero, IOTA, Dash, Neo, Ethereum Classic, New Economy Movement. All after we've already gone through over a year bear market in the crypto market. What's interesting too is we can look at things like Cardano and see how much time it took for this whole just bearish collapse to happen here for Cardano back in 2018. And we can look at Cardano right now to see that way more than enough time has elapsed for a total bear to play out over here for Cardano. We're past that time period. However, Cardano is still going down lower. So are we still playing with the exact same dynamics that we were playing with back in 2019, 20, where we don't have the same luxuries of 2015? And it's certainly starting to appear like that right now. Over the last 4 months, ever since Bitcoin found its bottom back in June of this year, We've seen some coins come out with exceptional strength, mediocre strength. Some are just very weak. Cardano being one of them. More than enough time has elapsed for a total bear to have completed itself here for Cardano, yet it still just keeps grinding to the downside. You could see over here for Litecoin as well. Once the bottom of it finally came in, that was it. It was good to go. Enough time had elapsed for a bear. We're beyond that time period right now. Litecoin has still held that low at this point. Still nothing too convincing about the move that it's done yet. But more than enough time has elapsed for a total bear to completely play out for Litecoin. We can even go back to 2015. Let's take a look at how much time elapsed in here before the bottom ended up coming in. Scoot us on over, and we'll see that enough time has elapsed for a bottom to have already come in. Nearly identical timing here at this point. So based on our last two major bears for Litecoin, enough time has elapsed for a bottom to come in. Notice when the bottom did come in here back in 2015, not the most impressive bottom you could see, and then pretty lackluster for quite some time, but that was the bottom in there for Litecoin at about $1, then eventually running up to $380. But as we can see right now, at the times that we're in, more than enough time has elapsed for a total bear to play out. Yet Cardano is still continuing to go. So are we seeing weaknesses as we saw in 2018, where just because you're in the top 5, like we saw with EOS, top 4, a year and a half after after Bitcoin had already topped, still a top 4 contender, are the luxuries of 2015 gone? And are we still going to see a continuation of things we saw in 2018, where there is more consolidation in the market into specific assets? So in this video, I figured we'd take a look at what are the ones that have been holding up well? Because while Cardano is kind of a unique case and it's fallen the most, there's others that are doing it too, or at least getting really close to doing it, like Solana, Polkadot, AVAX, and Near. But there are some that have been holding up well. And I figured in this video, let's take a look at those and just see which ones are doing well. Now, just because I mention it doesn't mean I own it. Literally just trying to look at stuff in like the top 20, top 30, top 40 to say what is holding up well while we're seeing things like Cardano breaking down. Because there does seem to be exceptional strength in some parts of the market and exceptional weakness in other parts of the market. And if 2018, 19, and 20 taught us any lessons about 2021 and 2022, well, we didn't have the same dynamic play out there in 2018, 19, and 20 as we did back in 2015, 16, and 17. And just because these are the coins that people care about right now in this depth, such as Cardano, Solana, Dogecoin, Polygon, Polkadot, Tron, Shinu, Ibu, Uniswap, AVAX, doesn't mean they still will be majestic. We learned that lesson in 2018, and we can still even see Litecoin is still here in the top 20. Same for Ethereum Classic at 23, Stellar at 25, Monero at 26. These aren't significantly down the list. They're still big contenders in the market, but they just didn't do that great, right? And now, of course, we have so many stable coins up here in the top 10. But if we're going to look at what is our actual top 10 in here, we've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance Coin, XRP, Cardano, Solana, Dogecoin, Polygon, Polkadot, and Tron. Cardano is top 8 and one of the weakest out there, and definitely the weakest of all of these. But Polkadot isn't too far behind. So let's see who is holding up okay. Tron has been one of the ones that has surprised me. If you remember when we were watching XRP, we were watching XRP during this same time period saying, hey, we've got to hold these lows down in here, right? Then we get this big break that happens in the cryptocurrency market in June. When we were talking about this with XRP back, and there was like, hey, this level needs to hold in order for this to still be accumulation schematic happening in here. Tron was able to hold that low somehow in there still. It never broke through it like XRP did, getting through that support level. Now, of course, finding it as resistance at this point. But somehow Tron stayed strong through all of that and never cracked that low that we watched over there with XRP. And I see so few people talking about Tron over there on Twitter. You'd be surprised to hear that it's in your top 10, right? I know it says 14, but there's 4 stable coins up in here just from crypto coins. It's number 10. People probably wouldn't believe that about Tron just with how little you hear about it on Twitter, but there it is. It's still holding up somehow and still quite a bit off that low, about 50% higher than that low set back in June. Monero is also still holding up above that low set back there in June, up about 50% as well. QNT, obviously, pretty much everybody on crypto Twitter talking about it at this point. QNT, I think it may be the strongest one of really kind of the bigger names in there, up 350% off the low set back there in June. Matic Polygon has also been holding up very well in here, up 170% off of the June low. Binance Coin up about 50%, like we saw in others, still off those lows. Same goes for Uniswap, up about 90% off the June low. Ethereum teetering on the edge on whether or not it's okay or not okay, up 46%, but also did have a decent sized bounce coming off that low. Technically, Ethereum Classic is still quite a bit off the low as well, up 82% off that June low, although pulling back pretty aggressively. But Cosmos as well, Atom is up 117% off the low. And XRP off the actual low, still up 57%. But like we showed as with Tron was able to hold this whole level, whereas XRP did break through it and still struggling against it as a resistance. So there's quite a few out there that have still held strength off those June lows. And after just a year-long aggressive fall, really getting a big obvious, like QNT is just as obvious as can be, there was a reversal that came in there, right? This was a reversal time period in the market here in June. There was strength coming out of there. Same goes for Matic, for Polygon, right? There's a clear reversal happening there. But, it's not the case for everything in the top 10. You look at Polkadot and you look at Cardano. Polkadot taking out the June lows over here right now. Cardano clearly taking out the June lows. And we see that sprinkled everywhere throughout the market. Whether it's taken out the low or not, it's still just exceptional weakness down there at the lows. Whether it's Doge or Algo, FTX's coin, FTT, Chainlink, no real bounce. Near, almost at new lows. Solana, almost at new lows, still holding, but definitely not signs of strength happening here. And Stellar Lumen's still way down here. And seeing these things happen just remind me of what it was like in 2019, 20, and 21 as things went, is that when we saw the bear happen in here, like for Chainlink here, you see Chainlink topping in January of 2018, falling all the way down until June of 2018. But it just showed more strength than the rest of the market. And then we all know what ended up happening with Chainlink throughout the remainder of the bull run. And still, as the bear kind of proceeded for the rest of the market, still Chainlink really kind of showed more strength continuing to go, even though the market was struggling. And then I'm starting to ponder these ideas right now as we're watching some things have strength, but we're watching some things have exceptional weakness. So even in Chainlink's circumstance, right, showing much more strength in the market, people think to themselves, yeah, man, should have been in Chainlink the whole time. But remember, still, crypto is massively volatile here. In 2018, just because it was showing strength right there in June of 2018 and got itself a nice 271% rise, doesn't mean it didn't fall again, almost 70% again, 67% fall happening in just the blink of an eye again, just a volatile long range. And in being in something like this, clearly having to have a longer hindsight, a longer time frame thought process, because once a new range came, all of that stuff returned all over again. You saw it fall 71%, and then again, it still fell one more time, another 69%, just still in that same range. But either way, I'm reflecting back on these times now that I've been in this market for 5.5 years at this point. I've done a lot of studying of past market cycles. I've now gone through the whole 2018 bear, watched what happened in 2019 and 20, watched how some things did well, some things didn't do well. Now trying to kind of dissect, do we still have the same dynamics going on in the market again heading into this new time period where it's going to be a lot like 2019 and 2020, where just because you're in the top 10, top 15, top 20 doesn't buy you a spot to safety, as we witnessed happen in here back in 2019 and 18. Just because you were up in here doesn't buy you a ticket to do well later. But who is showing strength off the bottom already? Where is the excitement already emerging in the market, or where is support and buyers coming in, rather than being non-existent? So I think we've seen some interesting data happen since June of what's showing strength, what's showing weakness. And that's going to be a little bit of my focus privately, at least, trying to dissect where is the network activity going to? Where is the excitement heading into? Because there's clear aspects of this market where they have bounced, where excitement has come back in, and investors are willing to put their money into it. And there are some that they just won't touch. So who will be the winners? That's what we're all going to have to find out. Because clearly, just because you're in the top 10 or the top 15 at this point in time doesn't mean you make it to the promised land. We saw that happen in the last cycle. It's not like 2015 and 2016 where you just throw your money in the top 5 and enjoy the luxury of the ride. Things got a whole lot more complicated last cycle. And I think we're already starting to see that emerge here when we see top things like Cardano breaking down. Yet we see things like Atom getting big bounces, Cosmos, QNT getting giant bounces, and then somehow things like Tron still able to maintain these lows set back there last year. Remember, like we were talking about this, right? We have crash, retrace, reaccumulation. It's what we talked about on XRP for like a year until finally XRP just cracked right through it. But Tron did not. Very interesting. But I do want to touch on this too, because don't want it to be misconstrued that, my thoughts are that we're going to go on some big, massive bull run. The whole cryptocurrency market's going to do a whole nother cycle, just like we do every 4 years, right? We have a very unique element happening in the markets right now when it comes to the stock market on whether or not this thing has actually popped already. I've dived into these charts so deep comparing the stock market, just in what I've presented over here, what I've written in my newsletter. It's unequivocal evidence that when the Dow Jones breaks upwards from new ranges, that is the start of a bullish time period for Bitcoin. Every bull run for Bitcoin happened within weeks of it breaking out and taking out new highs and moving up to a new level here on the Dow Jones. It's unequivocal, the timing of it, of how close it is of when these things actually happen. You break from the great financial crisis highs, go into a bull run. You break from a 3-year range, we go on a 2017 bull run. We break from the broadening wedge, we get above the C19 highs, we go on a bull run. These are unequivocal. These are not debatable. These are not things that we have to call FUD or that we need to even debate. There's no debating it. It's unequivocal evidence. What happens if the Dow Jones does not set a new high? What does that mean for the cryptocurrency market? That is still a conflict out there. But it doesn't mean that if Bitcoin only goes into a retracement, that the altcoin market can't do well. Historically, we have seen the altcoin market do well into a Bitcoin retracement. So I have to personally think of it from that mindset. We'll see how the market ends up playing out. I don't know. But from a retracement perspective, a Bitcoin dominance breakdown perspective, that historically has been good for the altcoin market. And right now, my eyes are focused on, after we've now had this big plunge that took place in June, where we had just a ton of catalysts in the cryptocurrency market, not just broader market conditions of 10-year treasury yields rising, the DXY rising, the stock market falling. We also had a legitimate capitulation catalyst occur in our market when Luna and UST collapsed and then Celsius went down. You had Three Arrows Capital. You had all these companies going bankrupt. Those are the types of things that happen in a big flush of the system. And since that flush has happened, we've seen bounces, we've seen strength emerge in different aspects of the market. I'm paying attention to that because I know that 2018, 19, and 20 and 21 did act differently in regards to just throwing your money at the top 5 and riding or dying and all of them going up. It didn't behave like that in 2018. So it's food for thought. I thought I would point it out to you. What is showing some strength in here? Well, not everything is. And we did see that type of stuff happen in 2018, 19, and 20 as well. And so while I'm not like throwing my money at these assets that have bounced and they've risen higher and then just avoiding all the ones that are going down, I'm keeping these things in the back of my mind in case I do decide to accumulate some of these in the future. Which ones showed strength off the bottom? Which ones didn't? That's really the point of me going through this exercise. I'm not saying buy all of these. We saw what happened in 2018. Top 5, top 10, 70% of them didn't go set new all-time highs. It was crazy. But there may be a lesson that could be learned from what happened during that time period of things that were in the tops. What behaviors were exhibited by those as the bottoms came in 2018 and 19. What did the coins do that were in the top 20 or in the top 30? What did they do when the bottom came in at the end of 2018 and 2019? Who went on and set these big new all-time highs in 2021? And what behaviors were they exhibiting at the bottoms in 2018 and 19? I think that's some good food for thought. And that's kind of where I'm going with this and kind of where my mind's going with moving forward a little bit is that there's a clear dynamic happening in this market right now where some things are quite strong and some things are quite weak. And does that give us a clue into the future of where they're going? We'll find out. That's where my mind's going. And these are just the things I ponder as we sit here and wait on Bitcoin to tell us a story of, are we just ranging in here for a long accumulation to take place? And what type of things can we study and learn during this time? So, all right, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Like I mentioned yesterday, issue number 2 is released over there for premium subscribers over there on blockchainbacker.substack.com. Bitcoin and Gold is the store of value. Has a 22-minute audio recording that I did. I've narrated it and read the whole article to you guys, or the whole write-up for those who have paid for this premium content. There's a link in the description of this video to my Substack, to my newsletter. Otherwise, I was up very late last night watching playoff baseball. I'm going to be doing it all over again tonight. I do not talk about it much on my YouTube channel, right? It's one of those things I guess I just never really mentioned, but I did mention it over here on Twitch. I can't believe I still haven't told the YouTube channel about this. One weekend, I was hanging out with my wife. We were like, you know what? We should go fishing and we should just live stream it. She's been telling me to do this for 2 years. Set up a Twitch account, and then when you're barbecuing and when you're hanging out, go chill and hang out with your audience while you're doing stuff. I'm sure people would love to hang out with you while you're doing stuff and not just looking at charts. And so like 2 weeks ago, I set up a Twitch account. I've only got 206 followers over here on Twitch, BC Backer. And we went fishing, and I just hung out with you guys during that time. But in that, I was actually talking in there about how much I love baseball. I don't ever talk about it. It's my favorite sport, and especially playoff baseball. There's nothing more energetic than that feeling of when the home team, when something really dramatic happens for the home team and the crowd goes absolute euphoric. You feel it. You feel the tension in there. The pitch comes in. It's this big moment that happens, whether it's a home run or it's a strikeout or whatever it is. You feel that energy of that crowd when that moment happens. And I absolutely love it. Playoff baseball is by far my favorite. Baseball is my favorite sport, and playoff baseball is just phenomenal. I love it. So I'm in heaven when it comes to TV watching right now every day with these playoffs happening. So I stayed up really late watching it last night. I'll stay up really late again watching it tonight. But otherwise, that'll be it for today. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video. Please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.